Joe Staley was on a recent 49ers podcast, and the host went on a little rant about how much he doesn't like me and how much I'm bad for the profession. And Joe Staley, he said, the host said, I'm not gonna say the guy's name, but he's just so negative. And Joe says, "Who? Grant Cohn?" And the guy says, "Yes, I hate that guy." And Joe says, "Well, I mean, really, if you think about it, I mean, from a player's perspective, he gets the fans talking about the sport. It's not that bad." What he did say is, the one thing about Grant is he gets hyper focused on one player. And last year it was Mike McGlinchey. And all I would say to Grant is be an equal opportunity employer.
That is so Joe Staley, right?
Yeah, of course.
It is so Joe Staley. He's such a mature, balanced guy.
Yes.
By the way, I kind of agree with him. I mean,
me too.
I had a lot of fun when you went after Mike McGlinchey, but you really went after him a lot.
I made my point.
I think maybe this year you should give him a little bit of a break, or go after other people too.
Yeah.
So let's give Staley his props. I think he made a good, mature point, and we all, no matter what age we are, need to learn wisdom. And in this case, maybe wisdom would be to give the guy a bit of a break.
I can do that. Joe Staley is much more wise than me. And it's funny, we're about the same age, but I still think of him as the left tackle in his prime and me being 23. So I think of him as being like 20 years older than me. I defer. He's right.
Yeah. Okay. But more is, and viewers need to understand this. The most reasonable, mature players on a football team are the offensive linemen.
Yes.
They're not like, you want to get here, like that. There's like, let's look at both points of view. Let's discuss it. Let's like civilized people. So Iggy, he acted in defending you like an offensive lineman.
Yeah. Well, hold on. I mean, he's not that bad. What he does is bring attention to the sport. We all need that. I think from his perspective is like, he's just calling out players that aren't playing good. I mean, instead of just focusing on Mike McGlinchey, talk about all the players who aren't playing well. And I was always good, so I never had a problem with Grant. Grant never had a problem with me, which is true. I was never going after Joe. He was pretty good.
And one other thing, he was defending an offensive lineman.
Yes, he was defending an offensive lineman.
He was defending his little brother.
He was. Yes, he was, his buddy. So but he also said, you know what? I didn't want to defend him during the season on Twitter because that would only bring more attention to it, and Grant would feel like, happy. And I was like, you're right. That would have been a mistake. You got to let Mike McGlinchey defend himself with his play. And you know what? As he said, enough's enough. I'm not going to go after Mike McGlinchey. Sorry, I know you turned it on because I was calling you.
No, I did. But anyway, I just, don't worry about it.
Yeah. So here's what I pledge. Instead of going after Mike McGlinchey, I'm going to spend all my effort on Mac Jones next year instead.
You know what, Iggy? If Mac Jones turns out not to be good, you're not going after Mac Jones. You're going after Kyle Shanahan.
That's right. And so is the whole world. And here's the thing about Mac Jones. Kyle thinks he has the type of cachet that he can do this, and even though everyone thinks he's wrong. And I think Niner fans will go along with the program for a little bit, but anytime Mac Jones throws a pick, loses a game, airmails a pass, Niner fans are going to be livid. They're going to give this guy no rope. They're going to be more just the way they were with Jimmy. They're going to be just like that with Mac Jones. It's going to be a very tough situation for that kid to please.
Okay. One other thing, though.
Yes.
And it's very interesting talking to a blank screen.
I know. This is the best. Our best show by far. Really good stuff.
This has been a very interrupted show.
Yeah, really good show.
If Mac Jones or whoever that person is turns out to be really good, you got to praise Kyle Shanahan to the sky.
I can do that. I can do that. Yeah. I'm wrong so often. I'm happy to say it. I don't need to be right. The Niners need to be right. I just don't think – I think they put themselves in a very tough spot, but they could work it out. They could be right. What do you think?
Absolutely. I can't see the future. That's why you argued both sides of the argument today, because I have no idea what's going to happen. It's possible that Kyle and John Lynch know precisely what they're doing, and this putative quarterback at number 3 is going to be Joe Montana. And if it is, we praise them. We apologize for doubting them. We praise the player, and we move on to another great era of 49ers football.
And, I will say that on the phone with Jim Mora Jr., when he was adamant that it was going to be Zach Wilson, and it's possible that the Jets won't take Zach Wilson and that'll be the pick. But he also said about Mac Jones that around the league, some people compare him to Joe Montana. And we talked earlier that Montana needed time, but what this guy does show on film is very accurate. He's got good footwork, and he throws the ball with anticipation. He looks really good at Alabama, but he's not the first quarterback who's looked good at Alabama. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, and what it reminds us is it's not an exact science drafting a quarterback. Otherwise, Brady would have been the first in the draft, and so would Joe Montana. It's not an exact science. All kind of things happen that are unexpected and some accidents.
Here's my prediction, though. If they do take Mac Jones, it'll take Kyle Shanahan 30 seconds to compare him to Matt Ryan in the press conference.
Why do you say that?
Why'd you take Mac Jones? What'd you think of him? Well, I really reminded me of a lot of the things I saw from Matt Ryan when I worked from him in Atlanta. It's an easy way to sell it to the franchise. Matt Ryan was an MVP under Kyle Shanahan. That's going to be one way that he can say, look, this guy's going to be really good. Don't think he's not going to be really good. What do you think?
Iggy, my impression of Matt Ryan is he's a statue. He has a great arm, but he'll lose a big game for you.
Well, get ready for Mac Jones, baby. Get ready for Mac Jones. You think Matt Ryan's a statue? Get a load of Mac Jones. He's little too. He's not as big as Matt Ryan. He's about 6'2". You'll see. He looks like Jimmy. They're gonna swap out Jimmy for Jimmy. People on Niners Twitter, they're saying they're gonna go from Jimmy G to Jimmy H. Jimmy G to Jimmy H.
Don't you wish the season could start tomorrow?
Yes, I do wish the season could start tomorrow. And what I'm gonna have to do is spend the next 5 months creating intrigue and talking about possibilities and what if they do this or what about this. It's it's not easy. But I went to an A's game last night. I would hate to have to talk about the A's right now. They don't seem very interesting. I like football.
Was it cold last night at the A's game?
It was terribly cold. I stayed there until the 9th inning just because the tickets were expensive and I wanted to get my money's worth, but I was freezing.
How did your wife feel about it? She's from Fiji. How did she feel about watching? Did she even know what was going on?
Yeah, she likes going to baseball games. She can't watch the sport on TV, but she actually asks, like, can we go to a baseball game? And I always say I'll take her to a Giants game, and we end up going to the A's instead. But I think the Giants were out of town, so next time we'll go to the Giants.
I told you the story. When I went to Stanford, I went in 1966 in the graduate English. We were all going for PhDs. So one night, a lot of them in my class, we had about 35, and a lot of them said, let's go to a Giants game. And, to them, it was sort of like quaint. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I had grown up with baseball. So I'm sitting there and I'm enjoying the game. And, the woman next to me, she might have been very nice, but at one point she said, how many points do the Giants have? And I just thought, God, am I in the wrong place? You know what I mean? It's like, how many points do the Giants have? The gulf between that woman and me was so wide, right?
Yes. That's so funny. That reminds me of that scene in Ferris Bueller where the principal is looking for Ferris and he goes into the arcade and he asks the guy, who's winning the game? And Ferris Bueller's on TV. He just caught the foul ball. He goes, 0-0. No, what's the score of the game? 0-0. And the principal goes, well, who's winning? The guy looks at him. The Bears. The Bears.
I think you got a question here, Guy.
Yeah, Sean says, Lowell, you look great. Grant, are you getting too much sun? Maybe use a light when you stream. Lowell, does your gut say they are going to mess this up?
Oh, boy. Yeah. I say that with great humility, and I'm sorry, but my gut says they're going to mess it up somehow or some way. And what's more, I hope I'm wrong. I really, really hope I'm wrong. And if I am wrong, I'll apologize.
Yeah, me too. It would be more interesting to cover a team that's in the thick of things than a team that's constantly messing things up. I've been covering that team for a while. It'd be interesting to cover the other one, the one that you covered in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Dad, this has been the most exciting conversation I've ever had to you. I'm sure you like looking at a blank screen. This is good. So what happened during those 2 minutes when I was gone and you were by yourself?
I said, I'm going to call Iggy. I figured I was live, so I didn't say anything bad. And I just said, well, he's having a little trouble. It was sort of awkward, I have to say.
I'm so sorry. I'll never put you in that position again. Michael Strelly just gave me, what is that, €10? Thank you.
Well, maybe that'll help you fix your computer.
Bay Area Vid says if Mac Jones is, hold on. No, Brizzo says Grant has been absent 9 times. Nine times. 9 times. Okay, I think we've gone as far as we can go without my face on the screen. What do you think?
Okay.
Why don't I call you right now? Don't worry about the laptop. It just, I got a weird setup over here. I think it overheated.
Okay, I'm waiting for you to call me.
All right, I'll talk to you later. Thanks, everyone.